Alright students, so till now in syntax 1 and syntax 2 we have seen the introduction part, and in total 8 rules we have seen. Now in syntax 3 we will start from rule number 9. So students, you must be seeing here that I have marked a star mark, and in that star mark I have mentioned a relative pronoun. See, to understand rule number 9, you must understand what is relative pronoun, students. For now, I can't be telling you what is relative pronoun because we have to learn about relative pronoun in chapter pronoun itself. But for now, I will make you understand that how are you going to identify relative pronouns. See, these are some of the examples of relative pronouns: that, which, who. These are some of the examples of relative pronouns, students. Now, what are they? What are relative pronouns? See, relative pronouns are those pronouns which are used for two purposes. Purpose 1, these pronouns are used to join two sentences. ये दो वाक्यों को जोड़ता है. Purpose 2, relative pronouns are used to are used to establish a relation between two sentences. ये दो sentences के बीच में एक relation establish करता है. Alright, so in the question I'll tell you how this happens. See, we have a question here, students. These are the men who has or have killed the lion. यही वो लोग हैं जिन्होंने शेर की हत्या की. So now, as you all can see here, we have sentence 1. This is sentence 1, which is joined by a relative pronoun who. Who is what? That's a relative pronoun here. And this is sentence 2. So students, you all can see here, these two sentences, sentence 1 and sentence 2, is joined by a relative pronoun who. Apart from conjunction, a relative pronoun is also responsible for joining two sentences. It's not only conjunction which joins two sentences. Relative pronoun also joins two sentences. So you can see here, sentence 1 and sentence 2 has been joined by a relative pronoun who. Now, the question here is, what will be the right answer? What will be the right verb after a relative pronoun? Relative pronoun के बाद जो सही verb होगा वो क्या होगा? Either it would be singular verb or it would be plural verb. What do you think? See students, there's a rule, and that's in rule number 9. Rule number 9 says that verb just after the relative pronoun, relative pronoun के बाद वाला जो verb है, that would always depend on the noun or pronoun just prior to the relative pronoun. जो verb होगा relative pronoun के बाद वाला, वो किस पे depend करेगा? It would depend on the noun or pronoun just prior to the relative pronoun. तो relative pronoun के पहले जो भी आपका noun या pronoun होगा बच्चों, your verb will depend on that noun or pronoun. ठीक है? तो relative pronoun के बाद वाला verb किस पे depend करेगा? Relative pronoun के ठीक पहले वाले noun or pronoun पे. We all can see here, men is the noun used here, which is plural. So verb will also be plural. So have is the right answer, students. So students, rule number 9 says the verb just after the relative pronoun depends on the noun or pronoun just prior to the relative pronoun. So please note down the question. I am writing down the rule for you students. Pause. So students, I have written down the rule number 9 on which the previous question I have solved. See, the rule says the verb just after the relative pronoun depends on the noun or pronoun just before the relative pronoun. तो relative pronoun के बाद वाला verb depend करेगा relative pronoun के पहले वाले noun or pronoun पे. Please pause the video and please note down the rule, students. Alright students, now moving on to the next rule, rule number 10, students. See, rule number 10 is very confusing, mind you. Most of the time I have seen many of the examiners have been confusing the students with this rule. So try to understand this rule very calmly. Alright students, so now please go through the question. There are 3 questions. So in total only 3 different type of questions can be framed from rule number 10 students. So please note down the question carefully and read the question carefully. First question says, each boy and every girl is ya are present. So as usual you have to find out the correct verb. Each of the boys and every girl is ya are present. Each of the boys and each of the girls is ya are present. So these are 3 different questions. So students, first of all you must notice here that here boy is singular, girl is singular. So both the nouns are singular. In question number 2, only one noun is plural but the other one is singular. And in the third question, both the nouns are plural. So these 3 types of questions can be framed from rule number 10 students. See, in question number 1, the answer would be is. In question number 2, the answer would be are. In question number 3, the answer would be again are. Now I will tell you how. See, for that we have rule number 10, and rule number 10 says that if singular noun are used or are joined with the help of and before these 2 nouns each or every is used. See, if singular nouns are preceded by each or every, अगर singular nouns के पहले each या every लगा हो तो आपका जो verb होगा वो होगा singular. But the rule also says if a single noun is plural, अगर एक भी noun plural हो गया then the verb will be plural. So you can see here in first question both the nouns were singular, इसलिए आपका verb क्या हो गया singular. But in question number 2 we have one noun plural, so आपका verb क्या हो गया plural. And in question number 3 we have 2 nouns plural, so आपका verb क्या हो गया plural हो गया. So basically singular सिर्फ एक ही केस में होगा, और वो कब होगा when both the nouns used with each and every are singular. Only in that case आपका जो verb होगा that would be singular, else in every case it would be plural. So please note down the question, and after this I'll mention the rule, students. So students, I have mentioned the rule, that's rule number 10 on the board. So please pause the video and please note down the rule for you, students. Here. Alright students, so moving on to rule number 11. Rule number 11, see, the questions are here on the board. First question, a number. See, in each of the questions there are 2 different questions. So one by one we'll solve the questions. First question says, a number of boy or boys is or are coming. So basically you have to answer 2 questions in one question. You have to tell the correct subject or say correct noun or pronoun, and also you have to also identify the correct verb. So in question number 1, the correct noun would be boys. That's quite simple. But and in the next one, the number of boy or boys. In this also the same answer, boys. And in the first one, the correct verb will be are, and in the second question, the correct verb will be is. Why so? See students, rule number 11 says that after a number of or a great number of or a large number of, ठीक है, a number of, a great number of और a large number of, इनके बाद आने वाला आपका नाउन और साथ ही साथ आपका वर्ब दोनों के दोनों प्लूरल रहेंगे. सो इन दिस क्वेश्चन, फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन यू कैन सी हियर अ नंबर ऑफ आया है, तो इसके बाद आने वाला नाउन एज पर रूल नंबर 11 प्लूरल हो गया और वर्ब भी प्लूरल हो गया. सो रूल सेज अ नंबर ऑफ, अ ग्रेट नंबर ऑफ, अ लार्ज नंबर ऑफ. ठीक है, इन तीनों के बाद आने वाला नाउन और आने वाला वर्ब हमेशा प्लूरल होगा. नाउ कम टू क्वेश्चन नंबर 2. Rule number 11, एक और बात बताता है. Rule number 11 also says that after the number of, after the great number of, after the large number of, इन तीनों के बाद, so basically अ की जगह पर अगर द हो जाता है तो इन तीनों के बाद आने वाला नाउन तो प्लूरल होगा, बट द वर्ब विल बी सिंगुलर. Verb will be singular. In both the cases, noun would be plural, but in first case, the verb will be plural. In the second case, the verb will be singular as per rule number 11, students. Did you get that? Alright, so please note down the question. So students, I have mentioned the rule number 11, on which the previous question I had solved. See, if the subject are these three, a number of, a large number of, a great number of, तो आपका वर्ब हो जाएगा इन तीनों केसेस के लिए प्लूरल. इफ द सब्जेक्ट इज द नंबर ऑफ, द लार्ज नंबर ऑफ, द ग्रेट नंबर ऑफ, तो आपका वर्ब हो जाएगा सिंगुलर इन तीनों केसेस के लिए. सो प्लीज नोट डाउन द रूल. मूविंग ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट रूल नंबर 12. Alright students, so now moving on to the next rule, that's rule number 12, students. See, there are two different questions for rule number 12. This rule is an important one. See, once again you have to answer two different questions in one question itself. The first question says, few or little men is or are present. So basically you have to tell me the correct subject as well as you also have to tell me the correct verb. In first question, tell me what will be the right answer. The right answer is nothing but few, and the right verb is nothing but are. In the second question, a little or a few water is or are required. In this question, the correct noun subject would be a little and the correct verb will be is. Now I am going to tell you how. See, for this we have rule number 12. Rule number 12 says that if see here in this question number 1, the noun is what? That's a countable noun. अगर noun आपका countable है as well as it is plural. If the noun is countable and also it is plural, then in that case we use few, a few or the few. Few, a few, the few का इस्तेमाल बच्चों कहाँ होता है? With plural and countable noun. And men is plural as well as countable. So we used what? Few. And with few, a few and the few, मैं तीनों की बात कर रहा हूं, हालांकि तीनों लिखा नहीं है मैंने, तीनों की बात कर रहा हूं. With few, a few and the few, as per rule number 12, the verb will be always plural. Now come to second question. In this question, our subject is what? Our noun is what? Water, and that is uncountable. And with uncountable, we use adjective little or a little or the little. So students, if the noun is uncountable, then the proper adjective would be little या फिर a little या फिर the little. And as per rule number 12, little या फिर a little या फिर the little always takes singular verb. And between is and are, the singular verb is nothing but is. So is your right answer, students. So please mention the question first, then I'll write down the rule. Alright students, so now I have mentioned the rule number 12 for you guys. So please note down this rule. In a chart form I have written the rules. So students, rule says, agar these adjectives are used, few, a few, the few, these adjectives are used, then in that case, आपका जो noun इस्तेमाल होगा, that would be only countable and plural. Singular countable का इस्तेमाल नहीं होगा. Only countable and plural nouns would be used with these three adjectives. और इनके साथ इस्तेमाल होने वाला जो verb होगा, that would be always plural. Now come to these cases. If the adjectives are little, a little, the little, then your noun would be always uncountable. और uncountable में singular, plural जैसा कुछ भी नहीं होता. Alright? And इनके साथ इस्तेमाल होने वाला verb with these adjectives, our verb will be always singular, students. So please note down the rule. Moving on to the next rule, students. Alright students, now moving on to rule number 13. Rule number 13. Here are two different questions for rule number 13. But before understanding rule number 13, we must know what is a possessive pronoun. See, I'll tell you in detail about possessive pronoun in chapter pronoun, in my video of chapter pronoun. For now, you must know how to identify a correct possessive pronoun. See, possessive pronoun is nothing but those pronoun which shows possession. ऐसा सर्वनाम जो अधिकार दिखाए. Like for example, see here, ours. हमारा एक महान देश है. हमारा एक महान देश है. So this ours is showing what? A possession. एक अधिकार दिखा रहा है. हमारा अधिकार अपने देश की प्रति. ठीक है. Second question see. Mine is or are handsome son. मेरे बहुत handsome बच्चे हैं. ठीक है. So मेरे अधिकार दिखा रहा है. It is showing possession. So those pronoun which shows possession are called possessive pronoun. So now come to rule number 13. So now you can identify possessive pronoun. So students, in case if the subject is possessive pronoun, अगर आपका subject possessive pronoun है, then in that case the verb will always be singular, students. So for first question the answer is, and for the second question also the answer is. So rule is quite simple. Rule number 13 says possessive pronoun always takes singular verb. The only problem in this rule is you have to identify the correct possessive pronoun. That's it. So students, I have written down the rule number 13 for you students. Possessive pronoun takes singular verb. So please note down the rule. That's all for syntax 3 students. See you in syntax 4.